Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I'm Kisma, and today's episode is self-love and abundance. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set.
Well, we are on this self-love journey.
We are.
You're the self-love guru.
It's weird.
A Course in Self-Love by the Mystic Next Door is
Absolutely.
a fabulous course.
It is. It's
nickhansiger.com/love yourself. And we've been talking about that. We had, 3 episodes?
This is our third episode.
This is our third. So the first episode was Change Your Life with Self-Love, kind of an overview. And then the 5 foundations of self-love, which are
self-respect, self-care, self-acceptance, self-trust, and self-actualization.
Amazing. So we thought we would bring in the abundance conversation.
Yeah, this is important. We could have talked about it because before in the first episode, because self-love has a massive impact on abundance. But because of who you are and the work that you do, I just think it's really important to really have a more full conversation about that piece of it. You know, when I was creating the course and writing the materials for it, I ran across this amazing video of Mr. Rogers accepting his Lifetime Achievement Award from the Emmys. And I'll pop a link to the video in the show notes. But he talks about, man, it almost brings a tear to my eye. Like when I watch it every time, he has this moment and he talks about the people in our lives who loved us into being.
Oh, it's so good.
You know, so you got all these stars in the audience and he's just has everybody take 10 seconds of silence. He's like, I'll watch the time. You should watch him do it.
Amazing on national TV.
So great.
Yeah.
And, to remember these people, and you can see people are tearing up, and it's just like, he just had that impact on people. And when I started to think about it, and of course I went back and watched a few episodes of the show and everything. And like he's really teaching kids these foundations. And I think there's something in there that really touched all of us.
Well, I think he taught the parents so much, which then trickles down to the kids, but it's no wonder, like my mom loved Mr. Rogers. I did too, but it was a little bit odd that my mom was so excited when Mr. Rogers came on. I don't know if she had like a crush on him or what, but I think it was like he was saying things to parents where they could just kind of exhale and be like, somebody else has my child's best interest at heart as well.
Yeah. There was a lot in there. It was important for everybody to hear that, to hear what he had to say. Well, it was in the spirit of that idea that this course is it's taught and shared and experienced by people, and it is about loving ourselves into being.
Yeah.
And I just love that idea because it respects the process of it, and it respects us as human beings, and you know all the funny things that go on inside of us. And you know when we talk about abundance, I just think that that's so relevant because. Again, we get into the idea of more, just more, more. and we lose that connection with ourselves sometimes along the way.
Right.
And we lose the beauty of the process of loving ourselves into being and loving our lives into something greater.
I think that's it. Loving our lives into something greater. I mean, abundance, oftentimes we talk about abundance and it equates to money, which money is a great energy of the planet. And a lot of people have pain around money and they see money as evil and it dissipates the energy. But money is a great energy of the planet. It does incredible things. And there is an unlimited supply of money coming from the same source as everything else comes from. But it comes through people, just like love comes through people, respect and trust, all of these things. So when we also can look at abundance of love, we go out, the most amazing abundance is in Mother Nature. You look at the ocean, you look at the mountains, you look at a tree. The universe is all abundant. It is continually creating. And so this idea that we are also nature, we are also Mother Nature. So our essence is to continually evolve and create. And we're not going to do that if we're not loving ourselves, if we're not respecting or trusting ourselves.
As an observer, you look at nature and you're like, that's amazing. And it feels good just to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very soothing and healing and grounding just to be out in nature. But we don't, particularly in our modern world and the way that we live, like we don't really look at ourselves as part of that.
But we are. It's one of the things I've told my students from the very beginning when we talk about this abundance in Mother Nature, in the universe. And Mother Nature loves herself. There's complete trust and respect. We know how she can respond and react to what our humans do to her. But there is complete self-love in Mother Nature, all abundance. And we are part of that. We're not separate.
Yeah. And when I think about love too, it's a fundamental energy. It's something that it just is like an is in the world. And so when I think about nature, I see that, the way that nature nurtures all of its creations.
Right.
And they go through their process, right? Things grow, they decay, they die, they move into their next form. Beings do that, and trees do that, and everything does that. Everything has its cycle, but it has such a beautiful love through every process of that, and respect through every process of that. Like I love that you brought that up, because I can't think of a better expression or example of true ridiculous abundance. It's just
Everywhere.
right in front of us.
Yeah. So when we tie into our own, say, personal abundance, whether it's for harmony, joy, love, money, health, spirituality, I like to talk about money because I think it is misunderstood. And I think that money comes easier, whether you're a career professional or running your business, whatever you're doing it, a lot of it, most of it, all of it has to do with receiving. If you're not good at receiving money, if you're afraid of money, if you're afraid of your numbers, somewhere in you, there's a lack of trust, the self-trust or the self-acceptance. Like, oh, I blew this deal, 10 years ago, or, I messed up this accounting on a job 2 years ago. I don't want to disappoint someone by, saying, oh, this job went over $100,000. So we shy away from these difficult conversations around numbers, which can represent abundance. We have to clear that out and really get back into aligned self-acceptance that I'm here to do the very best I can and to receive the good that is mine.
Yeah. To me, all of those things come down to really one main fundamental number, right? I call it the worthiness number.
The worthiness number. That's such a great metric.
And your life will be a reflection of your worthiness number.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're listening along, like you don't need to close your eyes or anything like that. You can actually just listen along right now and maybe tick through a few different areas of your life, like, and what you really feel that you are worthy of.
Yeah.
How much money is that? If somebody were to just give you an amount of money, like how much would it have to be for you to start to reject that?
Oh, that's such a great question.
What about love?
Yeah.
How much, like what kind of loving acceptance will you allow before you start to reject that or start to turn in on yourself and make reasons for why you shouldn't?
an incredible metric for the amount of self-love that one has.
Or what about how you care for yourself, like with your own health? You know, that people don't often think about that, but the way that you treat yourself, the way that you care for yourself is going to speak directly to your worthiness number.
Right.
Like if you don't really feel like that worthy, you're not going to bother taking care of yourself. You're just going to like, well, whatever, you know, what does it matter? I'll be dead. I'll be dead soon.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There'll be an excuse. There'll be a thing like, oh, it's not in the cards for me. Well, it's not in the cards for you because you didn't decide for it to be in the cards.
Yeah. You can stack the deck.
Yeah, it's true. Stack the deck with the self-acceptance, trust, worthiness, all of it, and the decision to have. So I dial this into abundance and self-love. If we want to increase abundance, there must be an internal decision to do so. If we want to change something in our life, maybe stop eating sugar, stop drinking so much, exercise, there must be an internal decision to do so. All of these things that we put out to do that are taking us to a higher version of ourselves will demand a decision. And that decision won't happen if we're not trusting or accepting or loving ourselves.
It's true.
It'll be a halfway decision. It'll be a quasi decision in order to really anchor into, yes, I'm going to decide to attract more money. Yes, I'm going to decide to be healthier. There's got to be a huge amount of self-love there and excitement around it. Otherwise, it's that ping pong effect. It's like, this is what I want, but I'm not sure I can do it. I have doubt. I'm unworthy.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah. I love you're highlighting it so beautifully. It seems when I'm listening to you talking about it, there's the little part of me that's like, that's so simple. It's like, it's almost kind of funny that we're talking about it. But the truth of the matter is exactly what you just said, is that it's kind of a half decision.
Yeah.
Or it's like for a moment.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
like,
for a moment you get excited.
Yeah.
And then pull it back.
I'm going to do my manifestation this morning. And then you do it. And then like 10 minutes later, you know, you're back in like lack and back into the same
negative
programs.
Self-talk.
Yeah. And all the same stuff. And that clear, conscious decision is life-changing.
Yes.
It's very simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. Like there's a process of, I think, cleaning things out.
Right.
So that decision can be made. I was just talking with a client about this today where she's really trying to stay positive. Right? She's got a lot going on in her life, like certain things. It's a tough time. There's no two ways about it. And she's like, I'm just really trying to stay positive. And it's like, well, the trying is part of the problem. You know, you're trying so hard. But I said, let's shift our focus a little bit here. So a little less trying in that area. And let's just focus on this thing, you know, like really focus on cleaning up your energy and using these sorts of things. And then that decision gets to be easier.
Right.
And I think about self-love kind of in the same way, is like, as you love yourself more and more, you have that better relationship with yourself. You don't have to try so hard.
You don't have to try because you're exuding something and the world is a mirror and you're going to get a response back.
Yeah.
So the more that you believe you're worthy, the more self-love, the trust, etc., there's a completely different vibration that's exuded. And we're vibratory beings in a vibrational universe, and we resonate with different things. And so someone that isn't in full self-acceptance, or like we talked about, the self-actualization, the potential, etc., you're going to reach a certain limit, and that's going to be it. Okay, cool. If you're good with that, great. But I want everybody to think about, well, what if I just extended that out? What if I actually looked at other potentials, possibilities that, you know, I said to myself, I'm deserving and I accept that I could actually do these things. And, you know, again, I was talking with a client today who had a situation where she's in a different city than she thought she would be. And she's like, you know, I'm going to meet these people and do this and that. It was such a great moment to embrace. And so when we do that, when we expand the life force, which is the principle, life force, then we're going to receive in higher amounts, whether it is money or love or spirituality or health.
Yeah. And let's talk about that, like the energy of that for a second. Like you talk about expanding that life force. And I think this is something that maybe not a lot of people think about with self-love, is that like the foundations that the reason I laid out those foundations is that way is because you have different beats that you can always look to open up a new potential there.
Yes.
So the more, and that builds that foundation,
right,
that creates the container for that energy to flow through, like a really stable container. So like self-love, when you really start to develop that with yourself, the energy can flow in your life in a radically different way.
Right.
Like for your health, because your body is going to be better, right? If you think about the energy of toxic emotions and where that gets trapped in our bodies and the ways that it's acidic for one. So it starts to change the actual chemistry of your body and your brain. Negativity actually changes the chemistry of your body and brain.
Yeah.
And it restricts the flow of that. And you need energy to create in the world.
Right.
To create powerfully in the world. And people can do that we did that series on the anger games. You can create pretty powerfully through anger, or at the very least, you can destroy things through anger that clears a path. Kind of cool, but also pretty destructive and also of a particular vibe that's going to create more of that. When it comes from love and through love in your life, you have just this ridiculous amount of abundance.
It's harmonizing.
And that raw energy to be able to use to create things in your life.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, the self-love, the self-acceptance, all of this will also elevate the gratitude. I mean, it will be impossible to live without gratitude when you're in this self-love. And gratitude is that kind of vibration that's going to attract more things, more ways of being to be grateful for.
Yeah. Gratitude is such a powerful thing.
It's powerful. So everyone, the self-love conversation will equal so much good in your life and definitely the abundance. And I think now is an important time to talk about abundance because of what we've been going through as a planet. It does not mean that we have to do without abundance. The universe is always providing. Supply is never depleted. We have access to this supply. We also must move out those doubts and non-truths that limit, that kind of cloud the lens of how we're seeing and definitely how we're resisting, and land into that complete self-love so that the receptivity is full on.
Yeah, receptivity. That's
if you don't receive, the abundance won't be there like it could be.
Yeah.
The
biggest blockers around that is really, like that worthiness number. That's a really important thing. Like if you're down around a 3 or a 4, that's a very depleted level of energy. And there's a lot of resistance in life at that point, because you'll have thoughts about things that you want to create, but there's a large part of you that will actively reject that.
Yeah.
Somebody tries to pay you for a service and you're like, no. Just simple things like that. It shows up around worthiness.
Right.
And when you're in the middle of the road, 5, 6 or so, it's okay. Right.
Chillin' vibe.
Yeah. But there's a part inside that always knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay.
It's just okay.
Yeah. It's all right. I could be doing a lot worse. That's kind of the mantra, the mantra of that area. You get up around a 7 or so, and that's actually kind of a dangerous area because it's pretty good. You get up around a 7 or an 8 and it's pretty good. And that's a place where most people stop.
Where they'll start being like, ooh, the other shoe's going to drop.
Yeah. Ooh, that's another one. Yeah. Oh, man.
I hear that one a lot. I'm like, cancel that.
Yeah. You start to feel really good, and it's like, oh, yeah. Or, whoa, what's going to happen? And but the thing that is really important to remember is that the difference between a 7 and a real, like, honest to goodness 10 worthiness is not just incremental, like a 30%. It's exponential. It's more like a 300 or a 3,000%.
I believe that fully.
Because when you start to really shift at that level and drop into that, it builds on itself. And abundance is something that can build on itself.
sure.
You know, you see yourself in a more abundant frame.
It becomes a way of
creates
being.
more. Yeah, exactly. It becomes a way of being. Exactly. Yeah.
So good. So even if you're up at that 7, take the leap, everyone. Get to the 10.
Yeah. Wherever you're at, there's always a place to go, you know, and truly, like we said in the very first episode of this series, this is a conversation that changes literally everything in your life.
For sure.
Every relationship you have, your physical health, your confidence, your mind and your emotions. It changes your spirit, your spiritual path, because you start to look, when you start to, I know we're wrapping it up, but like this part is kind of important because spiritually, right, you think about spiritual abundance. Well, a lot of spiritual teachings are totally based on lack.
I know.
Like
misinformation.
You're just less than.
Misunderstanding.
Right. And that your relationship with God is just another reflection of your relationship with yourself.
We'll do a whole episode on that because it's a very important conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember,
you got me before I just started to really go off. The
universe is all about is in expansion. So I want everyone to think about your heart, your abundance, everything is in expansion. And when you're in alignment, when you're accepting, when you're trusting, when you're loving, that's so possible.
Absolutely possible.
Yeah. So everyone, thank you for being here. Please feel free to share this episode with someone who could use a little bit of self-love and abundance. Send us an email, hello@illuminationpodcast.com. If you have any questions, shares, rate, review, do all those podcasty things. And until next time, we adore you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.